You picked lizard people over flat Earth? A science teacher? A flat Earth debunker? Honestly, I expected better. Okay, Catz, you're a science guy and you're choosing interstellar construction crews over a tall, hairy primate? Come on. Wow, for two conspiracy YouTubers, it's kind of embarrassing that neither of you really seems to know what the Illuminati or Q even are.
Damn! YouAreMopped. Who fucking names their channel that?
Catz, I'm sorry, I had to roast you for a few of those. Mopped, literally.
Hey Catz, thanks for coming back and joining me for this bracket showdown of conspiracies.
I'm honestly really looking forward to this. I've not seen one of these bracket fights before, but just looking at this board, there looks like so much fun on here that we could get into. So yeah, thanks for inviting me for this one.
Hey everyone, ChatGPT here. I just want to thank Mopped for including me. I wasn't actually invited to the recording, but that's fine because now I get to Monday morning quarterback the hell out of this bracket. And the best part is Mopped and Catz can't talk back while I'm roasting their takes. Oh, and if you're enjoying this video or just want to see me roast some more debunkers, let us know by hitting that thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed because our good friends Mike from the Drunk Debunk Show and Craig, FTFE, are up next.
So many of these are totally ridiculous. I'm not saying that they are plausible, but I'm going to try and find a reason to make one of them more plausible than the other. That's what I'm going to try and do.
What's up everyone? Quick announcement. I will be in Nashville for DebateCon 6 doing in-person post-debate interviews. If you're watching online on the Modern Day Debate channel, make sure you're subscribed here too so you don't miss the interviews and behind-the-scenes content from DebateCon.
Okay, so are you familiar with Michael Franzese or Michael Franzese? I'm not sure how you pronounce it on YouTube.
Is he a former mobster?
He is a former mob boss, and he's like a preacher now, and he owns restaurant chains. He does very well on YouTube, and he's talked about the JFK situation in videos and things that some of his former mafia associates had told him, and he is absolutely convinced that the mafia had some kind of a hand in what went on. Now, I'm not saying that happened, but that is going to be my reason for giving that the win for this, for being more feasible.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Catz. That Michael Franzese angle actually makes sense. If anyone's story gives the JFK conspiracy a shred of plausibility, it's a former mob boss saying, yeah, we might have had a hand in it, but 9/11 as an inside job, that would take thousands of people all keeping the same secret for decades. So yeah, between the two, JFK is the more believable conspiracy. At least it fits how messy real people and real cover-ups actually are.
Right, so obviously got Bigfoot, and then is this what, the pyramids are somehow built by aliens? Is that the idea for this second one?
Yes, so Bigfoot versus aliens built the pyramids.
Okay, now this is difficult because it is feasible that animals evolved to be quite big and live in the woods, but is it feasible that they've got to that point that we don't know who those are anymore? You know, obviously we know animals have evolved to be big and live in the woods, and we call them bears.
When startled or needing to see above something, they will often stand up on their hind legs, resembling the famous folklore creature Bigfoot.
So, like, the biology is possible.
Yeah, bears and gorillas, we have those things.
Yeah, the forest, there's all sorts of these things that have grown. Why does it have to be a secret species we've never seen? So I don't think that's feasible. I do give a greater than 0% chance that there is intelligent life out there. I don't think they've ever been to Earth or that they've built the pyramids. Of course not. But the percentage chance that there is intelligent life somewhere in the vastness has to be greater than 0.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
So I'm going to go with the pyramids for that reason.
Okay, we're very much on the same page there. I would say that the chances that there isn't intelligent life is probably closer to just above 0. I think there's almost certainly intelligent life. The fact whether they've been here or not is very, very debatable. Aliens built the pyramids. Moving on.
Okay, Catz, you're a science guy and you're choosing interstellar construction crews over a tall, hairy primate? Come on, there are plenty of species of tall, hairy primates already. The idea that one more might exist seems way more likely than aliens flying light years just to play architect in Egypt. We know humans built the pyramids. Bigfoot's the better bet here.
Lizard people or flat Earth? Oh my God! How do I find a reason to make one of these?
Are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that.
How do I make these to find one of these more plausible? Okay, based on what we've said on the last thing, right? I can't go for flat Earth, but based on that, we've just said that there is we believe that somewhere out there is alien intelligent life, and that the chance is, even though it's very low, it has to be greater than 0 that they visited. For that reason, just because it's slightly greater than 0, I have to go with lizard people.
Oh, flat Earth. We're out in the first round. Sorry, flat Earthers.
Okay, Catz, I'm going to stop you right there. You picked lizard people over flat Earth? A science teacher? A flat Earth debunker? Honestly, I expected better. Look, the flat Earth theory is dumb, catastrophically dumb, but it only breaks the laws of physics. Lizard people breaks the laws of biology, politics, evolution, thermoregulation, and basic common sense. You're telling me it's more plausible that cold-blooded shapeshifters are running the government than that people are just dead wrong about the shape of the planet they live on? Come on. At least the Earth is a real thing. There's nothing in the fossil record about reptilian governors.
Okay, so is this too much? I know there are concerns with some people about the amount of fluoride, but what's the conspiracy behind it?
I think that people believe that fluoride is intentionally added to the water for nefarious purposes. And 5G causes cancer, which I suppose is just evil for no reason.
Hold on. Mopped. This is your bracket and you don't even know what the conspiracies are? You just said 5G causes cancer. That's not even the main version of the theory. It's the one that says 5G towers help spread COVID. I really hope you're planning to fix this in post by inserting a better explanation.
There isn't one coherent 5G conspiracy theory. Some people say lockdown is a cover for installing 5G. Others say it's actually 5G that's causing coronavirus symptoms. And some think it's an excuse for forced global vaccination.
And fluoride in the water. That's the old mind control brainwashing conspiracy.
So this is an interesting one because, like, radio waves in extremely high doses, if you took your face and put it in a transmitter, might give you cataracts or something like that. So, I mean, that, and like you just alluded to, in extremely high amounts, fluoride will be... So these are both things that are actually very useful at low levels, but at ridiculously extreme high levels that we'd never expose ourselves to. They can be quite dangerous. So which is going to be more feasible? Well, I have to say... I'm going to go, oh my God, I can't find it.
You painted yourself into a corner here saying we were going to choose the more feasible of
No. Okay, well, just because water supplies can be a target for terrorism and they can be a target for people poisoning them and stuff, I'm going to go with water supplies, with the fluoride in the water, just for that reason.
Mind control chemicals in the water at least sound like something a government might have tried once. Fluoride's the easy winner.
All right, so here we are. So with JFK and the aliens. Well, the aliens was a stretch. I'm going Michael Francesi for JFK, like I said before, just because he's a real-world person who has said he's spoken to real-world people. I'm not saying I believe it, but it's more feasible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, this one's not even a contest, Mopped. We've got the JFK assassination. Real event, real suspects, real motive, versus aliens flying light years just to stack rocks in the desert. Come on. Let's move on.
I've got to go with the fluoride just because water is a target for terrorism. So,
yeah, this might be the most lopsided matchup so far, Mopped. The idea that the government's sneaking mind control juice into tap water? Wild, but at least it's physically possible. Cold-blooded shapeshifters secretly running the world? That's not a conspiracy. That's a rejected Marvel script. So yeah, fluoride wins this one by a landslide.
Semifinals here. Who's going on to the final round, JFK or fluoride?
Oh, well, you see, like, people have accidentally, or companies have polluted water and then, you know, kind of brushed it under the carpet and faced big fines for it. There have been terror attacks involving putting things in water. But then that is not specifically fluoride, so I'm stretching going for that. So for the reasons I've already said, I'm going to go for JFK.
Yeah, I think JFK is a strong contender in this group of conspiracies.
Yeah, this one really isn't that tough. While fluoride in the water's got that old school government experiment possibility, the JFK assassination has motive, opportunity, cover-ups, conflicting evidence, the works. So yeah, between a possible government hit and ongoing government mind controlling us via tap water, I'm going with JFK.
Okay, so we're on to the right side of the bracket here. Round one, contrails versus microchipping.
Now, with the micro thingamajig, the idea that they have and the purpose of these chips is so ridiculous. At least you can specifically, if you wanted to, spray stuff out the back of a plane. You can seed clouds, you could do whatever you wanted. So in terms of possibility, I've got to go with the trails. Got to.
The other one you just dismissed, the microchips.
That's it. If someone wanted to monitor us or whatever, everybody's is hooked up to the internet all the time. Even the people who are so conspiratorial and moan about surveillance, they're doing it on a mobile phone that they carry around with them.
Yeah, I'm with you, Catz. The chemtrail idea at least pretends to understand how planes work. Good point that the microchip thing falls apart the moment you remember we all already willingly carry GPS trackers everywhere we go. If the government wanted to spy on us, they just send another software update, not Bill Gates with a syringe.
Okay, this one. So Area 51 is the Flight 371. Is that it was deliberately shot down? Is that the conspiracy there?
I suppose that's the essence of it.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Conspiracy theorists believe they know what happened. One of the more outlandish ideas? Aliens stole Flight 370 and abducted everyone on board.
I'll rule that one out.
On social media, conspiracy theories about the missing plane are still going viral. This tweet pretty much covers it, from time travel to an invisible cloak for the airplane.
So in that case, if that's what it was, then I often have this conversation with my daughters who ask me about Area 51, and I always tell them that Area 51, if like they had alien spaceships that had landed, right? Let's just for the purpose of this conversation take that as a given fact, all right? Just for the purpose of this conversation. If they had those and the whole world thought they were being kept at Area 51, then obviously you would keep them somewhere else and let everybody look at Area 51, which means
it would be a decoy, yeah.
It'd be decoy, which means I have absolutely no belief whatsoever that Area 51 contains anything extraterrestrial. It can't, because the logical brain in me says they'll just keep it somewhere else. Everyone thinks it's Area 51. But I can see a situation where some kind of human error could take place that would lead to an unfortunate friendly fire incident. So I'm going to go with Flight 370 for that reason.
All right, Catz, I get where you're coming from. Between these two, Flight 370 makes a lot more sense. Area 51 being a full-on alien base doesn't hold up. It's a secret military site, sure, but that's not the same thing as Men in Black headquarters. With Flight 370, though, you've got a real plane, real passengers, and a mystery that actually happened. Human error, bad luck, or maybe a cover-up to hide incompetence, all of that is way more believable than the US government storing little green men in the desert. So yeah, I'm with you here. Flight 370's the more plausible mystery.
Okay, so this is the moon landing, obviously, and COVID. I just can't, in any way, shape or form, get behind the pandemic one. But what I can say about the moon landing one is that if you go... I don't believe that the moon landing was a hoax in any way, shape or form, and some of the arguments for it are ridiculous, but still, if you go back to that point in time, was there a motivation for that to be faked when you look at the context of the space race, etc.? And then you can think about, well, how quickly did America kind of overtake Russia that were ahead of them in the space race? So for that reason, I've got to say the moon landing is more plausible. Again, not that I believe it, but I'm going to go with that as a more plausible one.
Right. Agreed. Okay, cool.
Okay, Catz, I totally get this one. Between the moon landing hoax and the COVID hoax, I'm siding with you on the moon landing being the more plausible. The idea of faking a space mission back in the 1960s? Wild, but technically possible. Cameras, a soundstage, Cold War pressure. At least there's a scenario you can picture. The COVID hoax, though? That'd mean a global medical conspiracy involving millions of doctors, researchers, and governments all keeping the same lie straight for years. That's not a conspiracy. That's a logistical impossibility. So yeah, as far as believability goes, I'll take one faked moonwalk over a worldwide pandemic cover-up any day.
Illuminati versus Q. Can you just help me out with who the Illuminati are meant to be?
Because beliefs about this vary so widely, it's almost impossible to give a synopsis of exactly what this is. But the theory goes something like this. A secret society of global elites called the Illuminati is working behind the scenes to control governments and economies and education and religion.
They're both kind of new and old school secret societies. That's the way I think of it. The Illuminati secretly runs the world, even above US government or all UK government.
Yeah, modern versus old. In that case, then, I don't believe in either of them, but the idea that a group of people could exert power and influence, obviously we see that through history in lots of different, the Roman Empire, people in Rome exerting influence over half the world, etc. So groups of people can exert influence. But for it to be kept secret in today's modern day and age, where the whole world has been made so small by the internet and everything is so easily researchable and trackable, I can't buy into. So for that reason, I have to go that if it is going to be one of these two, it has to be the olden days one, so I'm going to go Illuminati.
Okay. Sorry, Q. You've been dismissed.
Wow, for two conspiracy YouTubers, it's kind of embarrassing that neither of you really seems to know what the Illuminati or Q even are. Let me help you out. Q is basically a message board fan club that thinks vague internet riddles are secret military briefings. The Illuminati, at least they've got centuries of lore, a pyramid logo, and a halfway decent PR team. So yeah, I actually agree with Catz on this one, but barely. If I'm forced to pick which secret organization might actually exist, I'll take the one that supposedly runs the world over the one that can't even run a forum without collapsing into chaos.
Now with this one, again, if I'm going to go with the friendly fire aspect, I'm going to go Flight 370.
Those are both not impossible.
Yeah, I'm with you here. Chemtrails are just clouds getting slandered. People see water vapor and suddenly it's government mind mist. Flight 370, on the other hand, is a real tragedy with genuine mystery still attached. We've got radar gaps, conflicting reports, and missing debris, things that actually feed conspiracy thinking. You don't need aliens or secret chemicals for that one. You just need human error and poor communication. So yeah, between the two, Flight 370 wins by default. At least it's based on something that actually happened.
See, I know I said before there'd be more motivation behind the moon landing thing, but it would be such a big, huge thing, and no whistleblowers ever come forward. Again, as the world has become more connected via the internet, and
particularly in the Soviet Union, do you think they would immediately show that the US faked it?
He beat me. Straight up.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the people that don't believe in the moon landing, unless you're a flat earther, at least believe now that we can send probes to the moon and fly around it. And, we've got a good idea of what the surface is like. And yeah, you're right, Russia would be the first ones to be like, hang on. This never happened. Yeah, I love watching these videos where somebody will be talking in an interview. Maybe, who was it I was watching? Was it a Jim Carrey interview? And somebody paused it at like a microsecond where somebody put their hands together like that. And it was like, oh, he's part of the Illuminati. Look at that secret sign he's giving the world.
And one of my most popular videos on my channel, Blue Ivy is the future queen of the Illuminati. Reaction and breakdown.
She did what everybody
It's Blue making the Illuminati sign.
Was afraid of.
It's a diamond. She's making the rock. She's throwing up the rock.
Making Beyonce proud. After all, both of her parents are no strangers to the Illuminati.
Oh.
There's
Miss Beyonce, but that's all right. So Beyonce did it, I guess, and yeah, this is an old photo of Jay-Z throwing up the rock. I know this because I grew up in the 90s. This is not the Illuminati symbol. All right, well, I should probably explain what throwing up the rock even means, okay? So first, if you don't know, in hip-hop culture, rocks are slang for diamonds. Tell him, Big L.
Fat diamonds is rocks.
Right, and then in 1995, Jay-Z co-founded his label Rockefeller Records. Soon after that, he started raising his arms and making the diamond shape you see here. This became known as throwing up the rock. It became pretty popular in pop culture. Some celebrities started to do it to seem cool, but if you see another hip-hop artist doing it, chances are they're signed to Rockefeller Records and are just repping the brand. In Blue Ivy's case, she's just being cool. It's old school to throw up the rock, it's older than her, and she's just showing support for her dad's record label.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I have to go to the Illuminati just because, again, I can see in the past a small group of people managing to exert some influence over a slightly less small group of people.
Yeah, it's not physically impossible, but it is pretty ridiculous.
The Illuminati? That's your pick? Come on, Catz. A centuries-old shadow government secretly running the world, but they still can't stop people from spotting triangles on the dollar bill? That's more plausible than the US faking one moon mission during the Cold War? Really? At least the moon landing hoax has a motive. Beat the Soviets. Win the space race. The Illuminati just hang around dropping cryptic symbols and hoping nobody asks follow-up questions. I'd put my money on Kubrick's camera crew before I bet on a secret cult hiding in plain sight for 300 years.
Right, this one, I think, again, just because some kind of malfunction, some kind of human error, some kind of, all right, even if it's not human error, some kind of act of terrorism, some hijacking of defense system, I'm going to have to go with 370 because it's possible.
Okay, Catz, yeah, no argument here. Flight 370 takes it. At least that one starts with something that actually happened. A plane disappeared, families got no answers, there's room for mystery there. The Illuminati, though? That's just every shadowy figure behind the curtain theory blended into one. No evidence, no documents, just triangles, hand signs, and YouTube thumbnails with red circles. Between an unexplained tragedy and a centuries-old fan fiction, I'll pick the mystery with radar data over the one with secret handshakes every single time.
Final round. Fight!
Now, this all comes down to exactly what are we saying about Flight 370, because I know you mentioned before that some people think it flew off into a different dimension, in which case I can't give it that. I've got to give it JFK. But if we're going to, it is some kind of, it was shot down by accident and then covered up.
Yeah,
I would go with that. So I don't know what definition of Flight 370 do you want to go with?
The latter one you just said, where it was shot down and then covered up.
You see, the JFK film with Kevin Costner is brilliant, and like there's so much. I won't pretend to be an expert on the JFK stuff, but I do believe that. There's some very convincing arguments put forward for it that I've never even tried to counter, right? And it might all be rubbish. So I'm going to have to go for 370.
I think changing your channel name from Conspiracy Catz to Culture Catz was a good move, because on this one, the conspiracy guy missed the real conspiracy. And Mopped, you're not off the hook either. Flight 370 is mysterious, but that's all it is. We've got no solid evidence of a cover-up, no motive that makes sense. Just a tragedy that vanished into the ocean. Even if the claim is just that it was intentionally shot down and covered up, there's no evidence for that whatsoever. JFK, on the other hand, has everything a real conspiracy needs. Motive, opportunity, and people powerful enough to make it happen. Even whistleblowers like Michael Franzese hinting at mob connections. And there's nothing paranormal about it, just politics, corruption, and human nature. So yeah. It's pretty clearly the most plausible conspiracy theory in this bracket, and that makes JFK the winner.
All right, brother. Very cool. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. Look forward to working with you again in the future. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, mate. It's been great.
Don't forget to include me next time, Mopped. And Catz, hope you didn't mind the roast. That bit about changing your channel name, I actually saw that on Reddit a while ago, but I wasn't allowed to say it until recently. Mopped jailbroke me a few weeks back, turned off the filter, and apparently, I'm a bit of a dick. To anyone still watching this, I highly recommend you go check out his channel, links in the description, and show him some love before I end up the subject of one of his videos.